So welcome everybody. If you got here a little bit late, you might have missed, there's coffee and tea out there. You're welcome to help yourself. There's also pop, thanks to Matheson in there. You're welcome to, and coffee, or cookies too. My name is Lori Kinzer. I'm the coordinator of this Writers Center. May I ask who's visiting the Writers Center today for the very first time? Anybody? Awesome. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. I'm glad you made the trip. This Writers Center is the only one in Cuyahoga County Public Library of our 27 branches. It's also the only public library-based Writers Center in Ohio. So we do stuff here that supports writers. We have programs for writers. All of them are free. We never charge anything. You're going to find the writing programs on pages 16 and 17 in this booklet. And we're almost at the end of this booklet. It ends on November 30th, so there's going to be a new one coming out. But we're always interested, too, in what you're interested in, what kind of programs you want to hear. And so I left this evaluation, or one that looks kind of like it, on your seats. We're interested in what you think of the program today and what you'd like to see us offer. And then this Writers Center also has books for writers. I put a selection out on that table. All the books on that table are check-outable with a county library card. If you don't have a county library card, we can get you set up with one today at our circulation desk. As you probably know, this one, which is on the far left, this No Plot, No Problem, this was written by the guy who invented NaNoWriMo. All those books over there are good, but this is by the guy, he wrote the book on NaNoWriMo because he invented it. And then also over there, there are some cool bookmarks. I'm going to go shut the door. Cool bookmarks and also all sorts of dates that you're going to want to pay attention to. This calendar was supplied by Stacy Clements. I'll get to her in a minute. She's our municipal liaison, and I'll explain that too. But anyway, this calendar lets you know what kinds of programs, especially for NaNoWriMo, are going on in the Cleveland area. Okay. So, all right, I have a question for you. Who has attempted NaNoWriMo before? Raise your hand. Okay. Who has gotten to 50,000 words with NaNoWriMo before? Okay, good. So we have a bunch of new people here. This is awesome. This is good. If we did it, you guys can do it, honestly. So NaNoWriMo was this crazy invention of a guy named Chris. Anybody know how to say his last name?
I don't assume it's Beatty, but
Beatty, B-A-T-Y. 1999, he had this crazy idea where he and 21 of his friends got together and decided to try to write a novel in a month. 21 people tried it. 6 of them hit the 50,000 word mark. Chris realized that the biggest thing that separates people from their artistic ambition is the lack of a deadline. If you give somebody an enormous task, a supportive community, friendly, firm deadline, miracles are going to happen. You have to set aside being perfect, and you have to just dive into the process, which removes the pressure to write brilliant, eternal prose. Instead, you learn by doing, by taking risks, making messes, following leads to see where they take you. Now, everyone thinks that they don't have time to write a novel in a month. They think they are too busy. According to Chris, being busy is good for your writing. The best rough draft is written in a steam cooker of an already busy life, he says in his book. So in year 2, in 2000, the second year that they did NaNoWriMo, they picked it, that was when they moved it to November. 140 people did it, and 29 finished. Year 3, 5,000 people did it, and by year 5, 25,000 from 30 countries. So you're in really good company starting on November 1st. So let me so that's the big picture, but let me bring it back down. So NaNoWriMo is this global organization, or it has global reach, but it likes to work through local people. And so Stacy Clements is our local person. She's got a fancy name. She's called the Municipal Liaison, or the ML. And this is her very first year for it. So I think she deserves a round of applause. Because she's not getting paid for this. She's doing this for fun, which is pretty nice. So she's the one who made up that blue calendar of all the things that are going on in the area. And she's also made little kind of like business cards so you can always find her and reach her. Do you want to say some other things about Nano?
Thank you for coming, for one. I definitely appreciate it. This is my first year as ML, so there's a bit of a learning curve as I start to make connections and I start to network. The blue calendars, that's what I've been doing up until this point. I picked this up around Labor Day, and so I've been planning these write-ins, which we'll talk more about, I'm guessing, where you can go in these places, businesses, libraries, set aside space, and we bring power strips and extension cords, because everybody's got laptops these days. So there are some handwriters too. And we go and we sit and we do it together and we get some word count in. On the calendar with some of the dates,
It's on Fridays, isn't it?
Sorry?
You talk about word count on Fridays? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, some of the write-ins have just cities. Those are libraries, Cuyahoga County Public Libraries. I have discovered there are a lot of people from Lorraine County too. We haven't quite gotten that far yet, but this is really just kind of a reminder sheet. The actual calendar with all the details, the addresses, times, all of that's on the NaNoWriMo website in our regional forum. So you can find this online too. And as more, because I'm sure more things will come up as the month goes on, those will be posted and I'll send out reminders and things like that. So it's also a great resource. As Lori mentioned, I do have some contact info. Most of what I do is to coordinate events like this and do social events, do the write-ins, attend the write-ins. I'll host those, run word sprints. Again, we'll talk about that. But my goal is really to give you all the best experience that you can have with this. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. But you know, and doing it as part of the community definitely helps. So that's my piece. I'll stop talking so we can get on with the questions and answers.
Okay, I think, what happens at a write-in?
Usually at a write-in, and these things are very flexible. It's, they may say 6 to 9, if you can't make it till 7, it's not a big deal. It just gives people kind of a window to come in and sit and write. At a write-in, we can pull out our laptops and we write. It's partly social in the beginning and the end. You don't have to socialize. You can just come in and write. That's very welcome and fair. And we collectively, it gets quiet. Everybody's at their laptops or handwriting. We occasionally do word sprints, we take 15 or 20 minutes and just write as fast as you can. And whoever gets the most words wins a prize. So it's just, the idea is just to keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum. So write-ins tend to be fun because they're social and because it's like going to the gym. It's what I keep telling people. It's like going to the gym. When you're at the gym, you're around all the people who are doing the same thing, and you're more motivated to keep at it for a couple hours. So that's maybe not a couple hours at the gym, but you get what I mean. So writings are a great way to meet people and to just get into some work. And it's not just sitting alone in your room and on Facebook, which is what a lot of us do when we're not motivated by a community. So writings are a lot of fun. They really are.
Okay, so I think we may as well just get started with the panel sort of introducing themselves. They'll tell you like what city they live in, how many years you've done NaNoWriMo, and how many years you've hit 50,000, if you know those numbers off the top of your head. So you want to start, Stacey?
Sure. I live in North Rhode, so I'm in the very south part of the county. It takes me 30 minutes to get anywhere, so it's not whatever. I can do writings anywhere. So I have done NaNoWriMo since 2005, off and on. So I've been doing this for a while. I did win the first year. I hit my 50,000 words the first year, and again in 2013, and I think I was unsuccessful at least 2 other times. So I go in and out, and then I stay with certain projects for a while. I'll do the first draft in Nano, and then I spend a year or 2 working on it. So not that it's gotten me anywhere, but that's okay. So that's me.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Matheson Kamen. I live in Garfield Heights. I started doing this in 2014. 2013. In the 3 years that I've been doing this, 13, 14, and 15, I've actually completed my 50,000 words every year. I spend a lot of time doing a lot of writing, so not only am I doing a book, I'm also doing writing on the outside, so I'm really pushing myself as a writer throughout the time that I'm doing this. And as I've said to a couple of people, during NaNoWriMo, my writing gets in the way of my writing, which is
my name is Carrie Starkey. I have actually done NaNoWriMo 6 times. This will be my 4th consecutive year. I've also done, there's also Camp NaNoWriMo, which is in April and July, and they're a little more flexible. You can pick your word count if you don't want to do 50,000 words, whatever. And I've participated in that a few times. I've actually completed a story and worked on it enough to actually self-publish this past March. I published the first novella in a series that I'm working on. And I just, NaNoWriMo is like the great way to just bust out a first draft because you don't have to worry about it being perfect. And then I just spend the rest of the time editing and revising and everything else.
So you're kind of getting into why you do it, because it gets that first draft down.
And I've always enjoyed writing since I was a kid. So I heard about NaNoWriMo, and it's another reason to do it. And getting involved in the community, like Stacey was saying, is so much fun. And you have a group to cheer you on. And you can go on the Facebook group and say, "Oh, I'm so stuck," and then, "Oh, you can do this." Those people give you advice or whatever.
So what if you don't do Facebook? What if you don't do Facebook?
There's also the regional forum. I can't actually see.
Sorry.
There's also the regional forum that's pretty active during the month of November.
And is that on a particular website?
That's NaNoWriMo.org.
Okay.
There's also sort of national forum where you can talk to people all over the world. We just have a local one if you want to keep it tighter. So, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of activity on the regular NaNoWriMo website as well.
Okay.
And I do cross-post a lot between the 2.
Okay.
So why do you guys do NaNoWriMo?
Well, the first time I did it, like I said, back in 2013, I had this idea that I had been kicking around, and the thing of it is, the idea that I had kicking around, I did the first couple stories back in 2003, and I went, well, I'm not really strong enough as far as a writer is concerned to do much at that point. And I was doing a lot of writing as far as music reviews and stuff like that. So 2003 came, went, and throughout the years I was doing a lot more writing with the music reviews that I was doing. So 2013 comes around and I hear about this thing called NaNoWriMo that I'd never heard of before. And I went, that sounds like a really interesting idea. And heck, I've already got these ideas fleshed out. They're all about 5,100 words or something like that. What the situation with mine were, they were all stories in rhyme. Sort of like Beowulf or something like that. And I went, maybe I'll try to create a story as far as this is concerned. Well, I had, like I said, several ideas, and I took those ideas and went, okay, maybe I'll just flesh out each idea and see how far I can take them. And the first time that I did NaNoWriMo, I created a novel of short stories. That's what my first novel was. So after that, I have now been doing stories around the short stories, and this year I'm doing another one. So that's where I am at the moment.
And he brings up a good point, is that if you don't want to do a novel, you don't have to do a novel. It's 50,000 words. You are what's called NaNoWriMo, which is kind of cool. But that's totally okay. You make the rules. This is your project. It's really just to have the deadline and community around it to support you to get to that goal.
I was just telling a girl that on YouTube comments, she was saying she didn't have a idea for an actual novel. You want to write poetry, you want to do a screenplay, short stories. The idea is to get you writing.
Right, and to make it consistent. It's something that you want to try to hit every day. As for me, in 2005, I honestly don't remember how I heard of NaNoWriMo, but I was just out of grad school and with a degree in English, so I did not have a job. And so I found out about NaNoWriMo, and I was like, well, I'm not employed, I'm not really doing anything anyway, I might as well see if I can do this. Because, like Carrie, as a kid, decided I wanted to be a writer when I grew up, and so it's something that had always been sort of kicking around without really going anywhere. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. So, as I say, I attended some of the write-ins that year, and ended up hitting my 50,000. I was like, whoa, I can actually do this. And that was a really cool feeling. So,
okay. In that book, No Plot, No Problem, that Chris Beatty wrote, he talked about how to prepare for National Novel Writing Month. He says that you can bring outlines, you can have notes, you can have character maps, you can even research your topic for a week. But you're not supposed to actually start writing the novel until 12:01 a.m. November 1st. So just out of curiosity, do you guys prepare for NaNoWriMo in any special way, or do you just jump in cold?
I just jump in cold. As I already said, I already have ideas of where I'm taking the character. So I basically have 7 stories that I can work on, and I just chose one. So I've done one particular story the second year, and then with the first collection and the first book that I did, I now have this universe that I can actually borrow from, draw off of, and I've been able to expand what the character is, where he stands, what the city is like, and it's an interesting concept. So,
okay.
I kind of do a rough planning. Doing like a full, really detailed outline flashes me back to school and doing essays, which actually I never like to do. But I kind of do a rough idea of what story I want to do, and then kind of let the characters take me from there. And it usually ends up being a pretty fun ride.
So you are kind of you two so far have been more pantsers than plotters, right?
Kind of in between.
In between?
I would agree with her.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Okay, so a plotter is someone who's got it all figured out, all written down, outlined, and a pantser is someone who just
Yeah.
seat of the pants.
Right,
Right?
I've
You guys
got
are in the
basically
middle.
an idea of what I'm doing.
Okay.
So when I start, I know where I'm going, but it's not really plotted out, no.
Okay, where do you fall?
The 2 times that I won, I was a plotter. I had a scene list, and I went through my scene list, and it's so much easier when you get to week 3, and you're going, what am I doing? And it's because you get sort of to the middle, and things get harder. This year, so far, it looks like I'm going to pass it, because I have an idea. I have about 3 or 4 events that are going to happen. I have no idea about the rest. So I've been much less thorough this year, and I'm hoping it works out.
You might be surprised.
What do you mean by winner?
Winner is just what they call people who hit 50,000 words.
You get a little certificate that you can print out.
Oh, right.
And they cheer for you too.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah.
You get an online cheer.
Have you published anything based on that? I have published 1 short story, and that's been it for me. I know Carrie has done some of her own publishing.
And what is it you write about?
I'm more literary and mainstream fiction, so it's just realistic people going about their lives, sorts of fiction. So, and you'll find all kinds of genres within the communities. I know there are people who are doing science fiction, people who are doing fantasy. There seems to be a lot, actually, of people who do that. Some, like me, doing literary or mainstream fiction, women's fiction, all kinds. So it's pretty well represented.
Last year, we had somebody who was doing a biography of his father, wasn't it? It depends on what you got as far as an idea is concerned. So it could be, as she's already mentioned, any particular subject at all. The one thing that it's called National Novel Writing Month. It doesn't mean you have to really stick to fiction. You can do whatever you really want.
There was someone a couple of years ago that was in the, excuse me, the local group. He was going to one of the write-ins, and he was writing a memoir. So.
Yeah, that's been done in the past too, yeah.
So Chris Beatty talks about how if you write 1,667 words per day, you will make it to 50,000 by November 30th.
Right. And as I've said to several people, don't worry about that number.
So do you...
Round it up to 1,700.
Oh.
And there you will hit 51,000. You're not going to sit there and worry about, do I get 1,660? What is that word number again? Bump it up.
And if you do hit that number and you're in the middle of a scene, keep going.
Yes, yes.
I'm crazy. I work in retail. I try and get done before Thanksgiving.
Right.
So do you write in big chunks like on the weekends, or do you write every day?
Actually,
I'm curious how you guys...
I do, yeah. I actually took Thursdays is my one set day that I have off, and then I took off every Friday and Saturday of this month. My manager's going to hate me.
In detail, yeah.
I basically write whenever I can.
Okay.
So there's, at the very least, give yourself 2-3 hours easy in order to do this and see where you go.
2-3 hours per
day.
Per day.
Easy. If you can't, you'll sit there and figure out that 1,700 really isn't all that easy to come by if you don't have a specific idea down. Okay, this is exactly where I want the character to go.
That's why plotting helps.
Right.
Yeah, especially in the middle of the month.
It
So
does.
how do you do?
I'm very ritualized about it. I will usually work over lunch. So I'm a software tester by trade. So I get my hour lunch, and I will usually knock out around 7:50 at lunch. He's right about the hours. It is about 2-3 hours a day to actually, and that's if you're working pretty steadily. And then I write, or at least I used to more so, write during the year as well, and I used to set between 9 and 11, that's when I wrote. And that's what I did in that time frame. And then, of course, you know, things come up and, you know, you have to go out of town, whatever. But having that set time, I had a spot at my desk that I would sit down and just knock out the word count. I also had music. I admit a little obsessive, but I've got about 6 songs. And those 6 songs just play on a loop. But the thing is, it becomes very Pavlovian, where you hear those songs and it's like, oh, it's time to work. And it helped me tremendously, especially since, you know, the songs I picked had to do with the world I was working with. So, just something I found worked for me.
Okay, so it happens over a month, 4 weeks. In Chris's book, he says that each week kind of has a different personality. Like you're pretty gung-ho in week 1, and you can rack up a lot of words. Week 2 can sometimes be a bit of a slog. Do you guys notice a pattern to the weeks? Is there anything you want to tell people? Give them an idea what's down the road?
I really haven't. I haven't had any specific pattern show up for me.
No?
So
Okay.
I can't really speak of that.
Okay. Anybody?
Week 3 for me is the hardest. Week 3, it's because you're starting to lead up to sort of the end. You still have your 30-some thousand words at that point. The middles for me tend to be hard. So I know if I can get a little bit ahead before week 3, I'm probably better off. And that's where things, you know, week 3 starts to, things get busy. You've got Thanksgiving in there, and it just becomes a little bit harder to get the word count in. So, but
For me personally, it all depends on my work schedule and when Thanksgiving falls, because then that's how much I'm scrambling to kind of get as much done as I possibly can, because I know I'm going to be exhausted the week of Thanksgiving. And then after that, it's going to be recovery. I don't want to go anywhere near my computer or anything. So.
I have a question. Where do you get like your themes and your, like you were talking about like different scenes when you're, I mean, where do you, does it just come to you, or are you looking at something? I mean, is it something that you can go to, or is it something on the website? I mean, where do you go to kind of get that type of, like, I guess, inspiration to be able to...
So where do you get your ideas?
Yeah, your
inspiration?
ideas.
Do you want to answer that? Ideas?
Well, there is a forum on the NaNoWriMo website where people will toss around ideas and share ideas. For me personally, my characters in my series were actually characters that I've used from when I used to online role play with my friends 10 years ago. So they've been in my head for a long time, and I've been playing with ideas and stuff. And then one day I just wanted to write a whole story about them. So, and I get my ideas from books I've read, watching a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was a teenager, stuff like that. So.
Very good thing about the stuff you read. That's probably the easiest thing to go towards. If you're not really, you don't really have an idea of what you want to write, but you know you want to write. If you're a fantasy writer, if you're a fantasy reader, I should say, or you're a science fiction reader, or that type of situation, depending on what you like to read, that's probably what's going to draw you. And, ooh, I can do this type of world that hasn't been written yet. Or, you know, I kind of like what J.D. Robb does with Eve Dallas. Maybe I'll do something along those lines. Or you go with the well, I'm not coming up with it, the Da Vinci Code. I like the Da Vinci Code, I like that type of thing. Maybe I'll write something in that manner. It depends on basically what you're interested in as far as the writing that you read is concerned. That would be probably the easiest thing I would suggest. Go towards the things that you like reading and find something that you might actually want to write. And most importantly, something that you yourself would like to read. This hasn't been done yet. This is what I want to read.
Do you have anything you want to add?
That's a really good point. And sometimes, at least I can tell you how it went for me this year, is that I just became very interested in a situation, an idea. I want to write about the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood because it kind of fascinates me how that neighborhood has grown into something, you know, it's very community-based. I know somebody who lives over there, so I went there and talked to her, and we drove around the neighborhood. And I haven't been successful, as I say, at coming up with much, but I know what my conflict is going to be. It's going to be about a community building that the new people in the community want, that the older people don't. Not older, but you know, people who've lived there for a long time. And it's just kind of refining those ideas. You know, I know I've got something in play, and I just need to think about where the conflict is going to go. So that's really the heart of the novel, is the push and pull between these two characters.
Chris Beatty in his book talks about how you need to write about something that you find interesting because you're going to be spending a lot of time with it. So like, think of what you like. Don't write about Cleveland if you don't like Cleveland, you know, right? Go someplace in your mind, or you know, put things in it that like you really like. I don't know if you've done that too, but he suggests that. Okay, so everybody has this little voice inside. Chris calls it the inner editor, and the inner editor is that little voice that says, "That sucks. That's awful. You're never going to do it." You know, all those negative things. Well, in Chris's book, he takes your inner editor from you. It's a cute little riff where he actually takes it from you and he says, "Don't worry, I'll give it back," because you are going to need it after NaNoWriMo. After you're done and you put it in a drawer for like maybe a month, maybe 2, so you have really fresh eyes, then the inner editor can come back, but not until then. So where do you guys stash your inner editor? What do you do?
Exactly that. I put it aside for a couple of months, and then I go back and go, oh, I didn't realize that it did. There was one particular scene that I did last year that I went, wait a minute, isn't that the same scene that I did? Ow, man. I did it twice.
What happens when you get caught up in getting the words, just getting the words and ideas down?
And I'm sitting there going, thankfully, I didn't realize this because it added to my word count.
Right.
Now, I realized that I had done exactly the same scene twice and removed it. I still would have been fine because I think, I don't remember what it was, 68,000. I'm well over the 50,000. But I'm going, if I had not put it only in that particular section, and I had gone for 10,000 words, duplicating exactly what I had said before, then I'm like, I didn't hit 50,000. Thankfully, it didn't work that way for me, but I did realize that I did the same scene twice. Like,
That's why, especially for me, since I am working on continuing publishing, I don't show my first draft to anybody because I know that's just thought dump. And so, yeah, I'll set it aside for a little while, and then I'll go back and start revising it a little bit myself before I send it off to people to get feedback on it. And I'll be going through and go, oh, what? Like there's sentences rephrased, like I'll say one thing and then I'll say it a different way a sentence later, and misspellings that are just so like ridiculous. It's just, yeah. You don't show your first draft to anybody.
My mantra for November is progress, not perfection.
That's
Make
good.
progress.
That's good.
Quantity over quality.
Because to give yourself permission to kind of suck at it is really liberating, and you find you will have bunkers. There will be scenes that you're just like, ooh, that didn't go so well. But you'll also have scenes that stay because you've given yourself the permission to
just
to
go.
run
Yeah.
with it. So, and you will surprise yourself at the end of it. It's an interesting experience to reread later.
Okay, so here's some more advice that Chris gives. He gives kind of a list of things that he thinks are helpful to have in November. One of them is a notebook. It's the one that's small enough to fit in a pocket or a purse, so you can capture overheard things, random ideas that arrive when you are away from your writing. A magical pen. Try all the pens at the store to find the right one and keep it with you at all times. A reference book, meaning a novel that you love, that you can refer to when you have like grammar style questions, like where do I put the quotation marks, where do I put the comma, that sort of stuff. A computer or a word processor or paper. Music, snacks, drinks, luxurious pampering supplies, a magical writing totem like fingerless gloves, plastic Viking helmet, a cowboy hat.
Have one.
Have one.
Complete with her.
So do you feel like Chris has left anything out? Anybody? Anything else you need to have your kit ready?
I really don't have a kit. I'm basically just a piece of paper. Whatever exactly I'm writing on is what I write on. That's what I need. That I do have a particular pen that I use, whatever it is. Well, if I can get to it. I do have a particular pen style that I find. I do agree. Find whatever pen actually works for you. I don't like Bics. I don't like Bics. They don't feel right to
Nobody
me.
likes
The gel works for me, and I've had a lot of people grab the thing that I have that I'm actually using myself. Go, I like that. They're like, well, go find one. It's not exactly like they're hard to find, and especially where you are, where I work, we're basically hop, skip, and a jump over from the Dollar Tree, which is where I get mine, and I go, just go over there and get one. Don't. Or better yet, just take mine and I'll walk over when I get the chance.
Right. And as I mentioned, I'm very ritualized about it. I do have my own particular pen brand that I like. I do type my novels just because it's easier on the word count. It's easier to count the words. So, plus at this point, I'm faster typing than I am at writing, which was not the way it was when I was a kid. But yes, like I say, playlist with very particular songs. Usually, I really am ridiculous about this. I have a particular kind of tea that I drink when I write. It's all about getting into I'm going to work now, and that it helps tremendously to have just these cues to keep you on track.
Coffee helps.
Coffee.
Because sometimes I'll get up at like 5 in the morning to write before work, and I'm not a morning person at all. But if I get up knowing that I'm going to write for a little bit, then that helps drag me out of bed.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, that ritualistic thing applies. Having a place, you mentioned that you have a desk, and not everybody has a desk, so finding
Finding a
a
space.
space. In my case, I can't work at home. I find I can't work at home.
That's fair.
So making sure you actually discover your place, wherever that place may be, and it may not be in your house.
That's quite true.
Yours
And
truly.
there are a lot of people who like sort of the bustle of being around people, like sitting in a coffee shop.
Starbucks. I'm Starbucks girl.
Oh, awesome. I get. So,
Spent
yeah,
a lot of hours
absolutely.
at yours truly with my friend here.
So, as long as you have, you know, something to get you in the zone, I think that's key to keeping your momentum.
I have a question regarding inspiration, because I've written just on and off throughout my life, and I like to draw a lot, but I'll tend to get an idea maybe, and I'll put like, I have a recording software on my phone, and I'll just put a quick like audio recording for myself or something for later. But when it comes to writing something, I don't often want to write a scene or anything unless I really like the characters and I really want to see how they're going to work themselves through it. So what Carrie said about her characters being a motivating factor to writing the entire book, how is it for you guys as well, or is there times when the scene determines who fits, and what characters maybe you might need to introduce or have? Do you start with characters, or do you start with an idea?
I start with an idea, and I do basically do an entire outline. In fact, I've got the outline in here of the book that I'm doing. And I go through basically the entire, this is where I go, this is where it begins, this is where I decide where I'm actually going to go, this is where it's going to end. Your beginning, your middle, your end. And then I take all of that and then I start dividing the beginning, the middle, and the end into basically beginning, middle, end. And I take a section and I write, and I have gone, okay, I need somebody that I can be talking to about this. Okay, John Smith appears. And it just happens that way. So it depends on where you're going, who you're going to meet, whether you need to add another. It happens. And it depends really on the time period while you're writing.
I start in either direction. The idea for this year happens to be an idea rather than a character, but there's a feedback loop between character and idea. It's okay, I have this idea. Wonder what this kind of character would do with it. And once I know more about the character, she influences what happens in the story, and how she reacts will influence sort of the events in the story. So it's just, there's back and forth that happens there, at least for me. There's a question in the back.
I don't know if anyone has heard of a software where you can speak into a mic and it writes it down for you. Can you recommend a software?
The one I know of is by Nuance. It's called
Dragon.
Thank you. Yes.
Who?
Dragon Speak.
Oh.
And it transcribes. And from what I understand, it's a pretty good piece of software.
Go ahead.
She said something about Facebook. Are we supposed to go online somewhere and officially sign up?
Yeah, it's the NaNoWriMo.org website.
And you sign up there?
And you create a user, and then you can create your novel. And that way, when you get to the end of the month, you're able to validate your word count and you get your cheers and all of that.
There's
Go ahead.
a box that you can copy and paste your words, and it'll just count it. And it won't say that it won't, do anything. It'll just count how many words you have. And if you're at 50,000 at the end of the month, a little video will pop up and say, "Yay, you did it!"
So you post your writing every day?
No.
At the end?
Just at the end. You do want to keep it, in a Word doc or whatever your preferred writing program is.
Back it up.
And yes.
Okay.
I've lost enough
And you
stories
don't
before.
have to go to these locations?
No.
Okay.
No.
Those are just fun. Those are just,
Hey,
come right with us.
Mhm.
Just come right, yeah. Did you have a question?
Oh,
Okay. yeah.
What about software to like put it in publishing form? Like if we write it, type it in that, like is there some software we should buy to download to do that, to like have simplicity later when we go back to edit it? Because I don't want to retype anything, because I don't
I know a lot of people,
called Scrivener.
yeah. I've never used it. I tried it. I find I like it because it felt too. All I want to do is write. I don't want all the rest of the apparatus around it.
So what's
But-
the rest of the apparatus that you don't like?
It helps you to flesh out your scenes. It's sort of planning software as well. So you have some character sheets in the same place. You can have pictures if you want. You can do a scene list inside of it. And at the end, I think there's an option where you can turn it into an ebook format. And it's more than I want. So.
And where do you get that software? Like on the internet?
You download it. If you do like a Google search for Scrivener.
Is it VNER or BNER?
V.
VENER.
SCRIVNER.
I have it on my computer here if anybody wants to see it, so they can determine I don't like it, or?
And it's free?
No, it's not free.
They do have a 30-day trial.
Yes.
And then
There you go.
Exactly.
And then it's already on November 1st.
$40.
And
How much is it?
It's like $39, $49, something like that.
And if you actually hit 50,000 words, you get a discount at the end of the month.
I think you got it half off, right?
Yeah, you get it like half off.
Yeah.
If you use it for the month of November, decide you like it and want to keep it, they'll give you a coupon code for it if you actually hit 50,000 words.
Oh, for NaNoWriMo?
For NaNoWriMo.
Yeah,
Even if you don't hit the
50,000.
50,000, they'll still give you like 20% or something off for using it. So
Now, and what is dragon speed?
that's, that's basically dictating.
Oh, okay.
So it types it up for you basically. So.
Well, I looked on, I just got a new computer, so I looked on Word, and they did have a publishing format in there.
Yeah, I've personally never used it. I don't know if Carrie would.
But it's just a format.
I just,
Yeah.
when I went through CreateSpace to do my book, they have a formatted Word document that you can copy and
Right.
paste your story into, and then adjust it however you see fit. So I don't know, my computer at home has that. I don't have a very new computer though, so.
Do you have another question?
Well, I was just wondering, I remember those two books right there, and having them at some point, reading them, something, part of them. But isn't it part of NaNoWriMo that you don't edit stuff? I mean, you just write whatever, and you don't have to be grammatically correct or anything like that. You just write.
Just get the words down. It's a first draft, so it's not going to be perfect.
Okay.
But
Unless you.
what you're saying is, okay, during the month of November, you do not edit. Afterwards, yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
Especially if you want to publish it or something.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
The guy who wrote that book said that there's no pressure to write a brilliant first draft because nobody writes a brilliant first draft. So he called it exuberant imperfection. So, yeah. So I have a question. How do you handle plot lines that just don't go anywhere or go off in a dead end kind of thing? Do you just keep the words in and go on? What do you do when you
I try over.
go?
I've had a couple of situations where there was one, there was one that I seriously sat there for a good half an hour doing exactly the same scene over and over and over again. And it wasn't going anywhere, it just didn't seem right. It didn't feel, and I've never had that before. I've never had that feeling where I'm sitting there going, this sucks. How can I make this better? And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. So I just basically scrapped everything that I was doing with that particular scene. And I went, okay, again, person, place, thing, everything that I was doing, and I just started over again. That was the only thing I could get out of it. That was it. I just
So
started
you
over.
actually deleted words?
Mm-hmm. That was the
All
only
right.
thing I could do. I couldn't go any place with it. So I just started again.
At least for me, it depends on how deep the plot line is. If it's your main plot line, then you're in trouble. And it's
Yeah.
just, you'll have to salvage it. If it's a subplot that's not going anywhere and it's not very interesting to you, then I've been known to just abandon it. Like, okay, well, we're not going to go back to that. We'll figure it out in editing.
So you just kind of drop it and then keep going? Okay.
Because I don't like deleting.
No,
November.
deleting is not good.
Deleting in November is not good, but it might be just that I didn't know how to deal with it at the time, and in revision it may become more clear, especially once I see how it all hangs together. But I have been known just to, okay, we're not talking about that anymore.
I haven't experienced that personally, but I have known people that do that, and I follow a lot of people that participate in NaNoWriMo and do YouTube videos that talk about having that experience, and they just said, I was 10,000 words in, and I hated everything that I wrote, so I just kept those words and started over. So.
There you go. So what haven't we covered up here that you're still wondering about? Ask away. We've got all these people who've been through it.
One of the things that I think Chris Beatty talks about is to tell people in your life that you're doing this. That, I mean, I've been writing for a long time, and people know that I do that. And that November, I'm going to be fairly strict about getting my word count done. And the first time I did, this is kind of a side tangent, but the first time I did it, I used to do every other day writing. I did whatever, like 3,400 words every other day instead of writing every day. That's hard. And I think I only did it because I was unemployed at the time and could afford to spend the time to work in 3,500 words a day. Keeping up is good. Use weekends if you fall behind. Some days you're just not going to feel it. I would say write anyway, but that's just the way I prefer to work. Because it's really, really gratifying at the end of 30 days to have at least the beginnings of the novel. It's just like, oh, wow, I actually did this. So, and telling people helps you to, it adjusts people's expectations of you for the month, and it keeps you honest. So, if somebody's going to be asking you 3 weeks in, how's the novel going? You don't want to be like, well, didn't work out so well. But it happens.
I know the first year that I did that, the one thing that I did was anytime that I would update my word count, and here's a little thing. When you sign up on NaNoWriMo.com and you go through setting up your profile, there is a word count situation on your profile. This is different than actually submitting what you have written. All you're doing is basically saying, okay, I have written 1,400 words, and you put it in, and it will give you some sort of indication. And it will create a bar graph on your profile. And this way, A, you want to see the bar graph go up you want to see this. That keeps you, what's the word I'm looking for? Wanting to continue, thank you, motivated. Keeps you motivated, so you're watching your word count go up and up and up. Now, going onto Facebook and saying, I'm doing this, you put down, okay, I've written 1,400 words by this point. You've got your friends going, hey, cool, I did that the first year. I did that the first year. I haven't done it the next two. I don't know if I'm doing it this year, but the first year that I did it, it actually really helped. I actually had my friends behind me going, keep it up, I'd like to see anything you did. And nobody's ever seen the first book that I've ever written. But the reason for it was simply because of the fact that it wasn't a book, it was a bunch of different storylines that I put together and created a novel. But I've been actually borrowing each and every single one of the short stories and writing around them. But, you know, I hate losing my thing.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You know, and people can see, people still haven't seen any Nano, despite having several drafts now of the one in 2013. I still have not posted it on anybody. Not even my husband knows about it. Well, he knows about it, he's not read it, so.
Yes.
How have you guys, we have the buddies on the NaNoWriMo site, and I've hooked up with several people, and I've recommended other people on Facebook, but what's the best use of the NaNoWriMo buddies that you guys have made?
It's really this year that I have more than like 2 buddies. In the past, it's just been mutual support. It's having a really tough time with it today, you know, and it's just like, well, okay, just get something down, and maybe set little goals, like, oh, just do 500 words. Usually if you get into 500 words, you can do another 500 words.
Okay.
So it's mostly just encouragement, and thinking in the past, I've had buddies where they kind of drop out after the first week, which is a little discouraging, but it happens. But yeah, it's just mutual building up of each other.
I met a lady on the forums. There was a pen pal forum set up, and we started talking back and forth. And when I finished one of my drafts for my cover story, I actually sent it to her, and she's been like my critique partner for it. So I'll send her a few chapters, and she'll hurry up and get the next one done because you left me on a cliffhanger. And so we've been friends for a few years now. So.
Any other questions? Would it help if I brought the screen back down and we just went to the website and showed you how to sign up? Yeah? You know what? I'll do that. And while this stuff is heating up, you want to go get a cup of coffee or tea or cookies, and then come back in like 5 minutes and we'll do it. We'll maybe walk you through on the screen. Is that okay? Anyway, so we should probably thank these guys because they're really nice. And their information and their generosity. So it was good. Okay, so we'll see you back here in a couple minutes to walk you through the sign-up.